Wyatt Langford's special rookie season continues with one of the greatest instances of ball don't lie that I've ever seen in that walk-off grand slam.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the World Series champion Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into Wyatt's walk-off greatness, another gem of a start from Andrew Heaney. And the Rangers having more pitching injuries. Is it time for Kumar Rocker to make his big league debut? Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. It's also time to talk about Wyatt Langford's special rookie season. You look overall at the numbers, and they're not going to jump off the page to you. But when you look at the moments, the individual games, the flashes of brilliance from the Rangers rookie Wyatt Langford, you can see why the Rangers were just giddy that he fell to them all the way at number 4 in their draft pick last year. Because this guy, in case you forgot, was just drafted last year. He is still 22 years old, and he has been an everyday big league regular a less than a year after being drafted, which in alone of itself is a very, very impressive feat. It is a difficult thing to do, and he proved that he was so much better than every other minor leaguer he faced that he nearly got a chance to make his major league debut in the World Series after that Adolis Garcia injury in, I believe that was Game 3 of the World Series. But alas, he didn't. He had to wait all the way till opening day after having one of the best springs we have ever seen from any non-big leaguer in a big league spring training. He looked like the prince who was promised. He looked like the best player on the freaking field. And, well, turns out he's just a rookie. He's just a rookie with some special moments, with some learning moments, with some great moments mixed in there. But last night was one of my favorite moments I've ever seen from a rookie. The most frustrating thing watching Wyatt Langford this year is that, well, his swing decisions haven't been great because he doesn't know what the strike zone is. Excuse me, I should clarify. He knows what the strike zone is, but opposing umpires do not know what the strike zone is. It was just incredibly frustrating to watch him all year long get rung up on called strike threes 3, 4, 5, 6, 17 inches outside the strike zone fairly frequently, all because he just happens to be a rookie. And I guess that's just what we're doing nowadays. It's just the strike zones are different for rookies, and significantly different for rookies. And home plate umpire Mark Wegner had a couple of the worst calls you'll ever see last night. And I hate talking about the umpires because they are mostly very good, but when they're bad, whoo boy, are they bad. And last night they were very bad, not just to Wyatt Langford, but also to Jonah Heim. I mean, in a crucial at-bat in the bottom of the 8th inning, runners on second and third, 2 outs, Jonah Heim comes up, strike 1, probably actually worse than the calls to Wyatt Langford. But given the context, I think Wyatt Langford's is what make those worse. I mean, strike 1 was a sinker 3, 4, 5 inches outside the plate from Tim Hill. And the second pitch was low and outside, both strike 3, first 2 pitches of the at-bat. Once you're down 0-2 in that situation, there's not all that much you can do because you're forced to expand the zone. And unfortunately, Jonah Heim did, and he struck out. Rangers were still down 1 heading into the 9th inning. And then the Yankees did the Rangers a huge favor, and they brought on their closer, Clay Holmes. Not something you often say is that it's a favor to bring on your closer in a one-run game, but Clay Holmes has blown 11 saves now this season. He has 5 losses on the year, and this one was pretty egregious. He gets the leadoff batter out, but Carson Kelly gets to him with a single up the middle to Aaron Judge. Then he walks Josh Smith, and not a particularly tough battle for Smith. He took one strike, he swung through another strike, and then the other 4 pitches, not particularly close. He did not have his command. Same for Semien. He fouled off one pitch, but the other 4 pitches that he saw were well out of the zone, way high or way in the dirt. Bases were loaded for the rookie Wyatt Langford. All he had to do was hit the ball in the outfield to tie the game up for a sac fly. He comes up, pitch number 1. Called strike. About an inch or 2 above the zone. Not the worst call I've ever seen, but given the context and given that Clay Holmes didn't hit his spot, you shouldn't be rewarding that with the strike. Okay, fine. Ball 2 in the dirt. Ball 3 in the dirt. Pitch number 4. Sweeper. At least 3 inches outside the plate. Called strike. Now there's 2 strikes against the rookie. Neither of them were strikes. That was actually ball 4. That should have walked in the winning or the tying run. Then he throws another pitch that he fouls off, a slider that didn't quite get outside the zone. Wyatt Langford was just off of it. And then, glorious pitch number 7. Clay Holmes, for some reason, decides to double up on the slider, and he hangs one about as bad as you can hang one right down Broadway. Wyatt Langford was pissed off that he got 2 strikes on him. He should have worked a walk. I mean, his chase rate is in the top 20% of baseball because he knows the strike zone better than these umpires, and he's just not getting the benefit of the doubt of the calls. And I wonder how much better his season stats would be if he was just simply getting a medium bad strike zone called against him. I honestly think he might have a 750 or an 800 OPS. It would be such a momentous difference if he just got a slightly unfair strike zone called against him as opposed to a deeply unfair strike zone called against him. But Wyatt Langford said, you know what? Ball don't lie. Ball don't freaking lie. I'm going to destroy this baseball for a walk-off grand slam. A special moment from the rookie. The Rangers hadn't had a walk-off grand slam since Nelson Cruz in the ALCS of 2011. A glorious moment there, and you can hear a deeply depressed Joe Buck on the call. One of the worst walk-off grand slam calls I've ever heard. But the one from Eric Nadel last night, absolutely sensational. The hit by Wyatt Langford, absolutely sensational. He just keeps having these special moments to the point where you see why he is heralded as such a player, even if the results are frustrating at times. You look overall on the season, that was his 100th hit of the year, his 10th home run of the year, his 60th RBI of the year. According to Baseball Reference, he's got a 1.5 Baseball Reference WAR season. According to Fangraphs, which likes his defense a little bit less, a 1.2 WAR season. Either way you stack it up, solid everyday player. His OPS plus is closer to league average right now at 99, where 100 is league average. He's having overall a pretty good season while still learning how to play left field. He's still learning, and I think every day next year, he might be the Rangers' everyday center fielder. And as for what I'm looking for in year 2, I feel like expectations are going to be high on him. I'm going to try and temper those expectations more than I did this year, where I said, oh yeah, 850 OPS is the floor for Wyatt Langford. Well, I kind of forgot that even though he is supremely talented and does have a lot of potential, he is still very, very young, and anyone's first year in the big leagues is very difficult, and doing things like some of these rookies have been doing, Jackson Chourio this year. I mean, look at the season he's having as a 20-year-old. I mean, he's been downright sensational, a star player in the last, 90 games or so. Wyatt Langford hasn't done that. He had a special month of June once he got activated off the IL, where he had that walk-off, his first walk-off hit. He had hit for the cycle. He also had an inside-the-park home run this year. Speaking of that inside-the-park home run, this was a stat from Jared Sandler. He tweeted this out this morning. Wyatt Langford is the second player in MLB history with a cycle, inside-the-park home run, and walk-off grand slam in the same season. Do you know who the other person was? It was Jackie Robinson in 1948. if you're doing anything and you're mentioned in the same breath as Jackie Robinson, I don't care what that is. That is a good sign for you. This has been a year of growth. And I talked a little bit more in depth on yesterday's show in the second segment about why I think Wyatt Langford is going to have a breakout season next year. I talked a little bit about how his expected numbers against four-seam fastballs are. He's hitting the ball hard about 60% of the time, which is a really good hard hit rate. So I think eventually more of those baseballs will fall into the gaps over outfielders' heads or wherever, just as hits or extra base hits next year. I think just the wear and tear of the season has been very difficult for him. I mean, he had the 3-4 weeks or so off with the hamstring injury, came back with a vengeance, but this is the longest season he has ever had, and it will be the most plate appearances he's ever had in a season in his entire life, and it's against the best pitchers that he's ever seen in his entire life. And I think that there is a lot of reason to be very optimistic about Wyatt Langford. He has not been the reason why this team has underperformed this year, but the moments that he's had, I mean, a walk-off grand slam, 2 walk-off home runs in a single week, 3 walk-off wins in the span of, 4 games or so? This is a nice way to go about towards the end of the season, even though the Rangers are still fighting to just get to finish the year 500 is the goal, which will take some doing. I think they can do it, but it will take some doing for sure. They're 8 games below 500 right now. It's going to take a lot of winning and not very many losses to do it. But moments like that from Wyatt Langford, and not to mention a great hurdling jump from Josh Smith earlier on in the game. The rest of the offense also was doing its job, especially both Joshes, and a great start from Andrew Heaney, which we need to talk a little bit more about right after this word from our sponsors. This show is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. Tonight, the Rangers take on the Yankees in the finale of this series. Nate Eovaldi versus Marcus Stroman, 7:05 p.m. Central Time, first pitch. You can catch every pitch of the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, Wyatt Langford wasn't the only hero in last night's game. They also got good contributions from both the Joshes, despite one of the Joshes not starting. Josh Smith coming in and getting on base with an actual hurdling leap to start that rally in the 8th inning, was driven in by Josh Young, who had a 2-hit, 2 RBI day, including the only hit off of Carlos Rodon. A great start by the lefty for the Yankees. 11 strikeouts for him, and the only hit he allowed was that solo shot by Josh Young, who absolutely annihilates lefties. Good to see him continuing that pattern from last season. Him being out of this lineup, I think, is a big reason why the Rangers struggled against lefties so mightily early on this season. But those two guys did their job, but so did Andrew freaking Heaney, who continues his stretch of not getting run support while he's on the hill, and why his record is so bad despite him pitching honestly pretty well this season. I mean, Heaney has been solid, dependable, not amazing, but pretty darn good for the Rangers, not just this year, but last year. He's got a sub-4 ERA and a 4-13 record. That's a difficult thing to do. This year, he has got over 130 innings. He had 147 innings last year in 28 starts. 27 starts for him this year, a 3.81 ERA. I believe that is fully updated from where he is right now. I think the Rangers' other baseball reference page was not updating that with the latest start. But this is the first time in his career that he's gone back-to-back years making 25-plus starts. He'd only made 25-plus starts one time previously in his career. That was back in 2018 with the Angels when he had a career-high 180 innings. He has only thrown 100 innings before coming to the Rangers, 100-plus innings, I should say, in 2015 with the Angels, his first year there. Then in 2018 with the Angels again. Then in 2021, splitting time between the Yankees and the Angels, which he was not very good with either of those teams particularly. But outside of that, he hadn't pitched over 100 innings. That was it. Those are the only times he had done that. He had not been very healthy for his career. When the Rangers signed him, he was coming off of an amazing, albeit short season with the Dodgers with a 3.10 ERA with nearly 14 strikeouts per 9 innings. It felt like the Dodgers had unlocked something in there. The Rangers were just hoping they could keep him healthy and, get those insane strikeout numbers. And with the Rangers, he didn't do that. He hasn't done that. He had some walk problems last year. He ended up moving out of the rotation at the very end of the year and then back into it for a couple of times in the playoffs where he stepped up big in moments, especially in that, I believe, Game 4 start, where he gave the Rangers 5 innings of 1-run ball in a game that they needed to win. And they ended up blowing out the Diamondbacks in that one, but him giving them 5 innings in that one, a crucial start for him. And not to mention the Game 1 ALDS start against the Orioles, where he was pretty darn good in that one as well. The Dayton Dunning, Andrew Heaney combo start of Game 1 of a playoff series. Not exactly what the Rangers were anticipating when they headed into the season, but still, the value this guy has brought this year has been immense. I mean, he's a 1.6 baseball reference for a player this year, and he is the only Rangers starting pitcher the last 2 years to not hit the IL. He hasn't done it at all. And he was the guy, honestly, even more so than Jacob deGrom when the Rangers were signing all those pitchers, and they had a rotation to start the year last year of deGrom plus Eovaldi plus John Gray plus Andrew Heaney plus Martin Perez, and also Dane Dunning was there as well. Of all of those guys, I think I was most concerned about Heaney staying healthy. I was also really excited to see what he could do if he could continue that magic that he had with the Dodgers. And even though he was a little bit different pitcher than that, even though he wasn't, a number 1, a number 2, or even, an all-star caliber pitcher, it is so difficult to find pitchers that stay healthy these days, especially ones that are 30, that are on the older side, that have a prolonged history with injuries. Of free agent starting pitchers, they are so darn expensive, which again is why it's so important what the Rangers are doing developmentally with starting pitching. We'll talk about that in the third segment as well, because the Rangers have had some more injuries to their pitching staff. But Andrew Heaney, the solid unheralded hero of this season, kind of like Martin Perez back in 2022 when the rest of the Rangers staff was hitting the IL left, right, and center. He was there, going out there every 5th day, and granted, he was an all-star that year. Heaney has not been an all-star, but still been a very, very good pitcher, and I think that he gets overlooked because he hasn't had that kind of star season that maybe some of us were expecting when he signed from the Dodgers. He hasn't had those crazy strikeout numbers, and at times last year he was really frustrating to watch because he wouldn't be able to go super deep into games. Getting him around that 100-pitch mark wasn't happening very often. It was more in the 80 to 90 pitches per start. He couldn't be really economical with his pitches, so he couldn't really go all that deep into games, but he's still going out there every 5th day and giving you 4 to 6 to sometimes 7 solid innings, and that is a valuable thing that I think has been overlooked this year, despite whatever expectations, whatever else is going on. Andrew Heaney, I think, gets a lot more crap than he should. And this year, he has been someone who should not be getting pretty much any crap at all. I mean, there's been a lot going wrong with this Rangers team, and even though Andrew Heaney's season will end up going kind of to waste in a way, I mean, not for him. He's going to be a free agent this year, and if he can be about this level of starting pitcher, that's a guy who's probably going to get a 2-year, $30 to $40 million deal. I mean, who knows exactly what starting pitchers are going to be worth on the open market this winter. And I don't know if he's going to come back and sign with the Rangers. I don't know if they're going to spend money on much of anything this offseason. But I don't think that we should keep overlooking what Andrew Heaney has done this year, because starting pitchers on the free agent market are expensive. Durable ones are incredibly difficult to find, and that alone should be reason to heap lots of praise on Andrew Heaney, the unheralded hero of this pitching staff in 2024. But the heralded hero for next year, I'm banking on, maybe even heralded in a start at the big leagues, it's probably going to be Kumar Rocker. Is it time for him to make his debut with these two pitcher injuries that are going to get them done for the year in John Gray and Tyler Mahle? We'll talk about that and more right after this word from our sponsors. This show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. One Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. That's right, only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on PrizePicks because it's gone when September ends. PrizePicks invented FlexPlay, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive your $50 bonus because it is guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. This show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best way to get tickets to all the live events you're looking to go to. Whether it's a Rangers game towards the end of the season, a Frisco Rough Riders game, a concert, comedy, theater, all kinds of different stuff, Game Time is the best way to get your tickets. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They've got all kinds of different features like seat views. You can see a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. They've also got the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% the difference. Game Time ticket coverage has got your purchase covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take that guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Now, the Rangers got some bad injury news yesterday. Three different injury updates yesterday. There was the injury update that John Gray and Tyler Mahle are done for the year. John Gray has been dealing with a foot issue that is now going to require surgery that will end his season. Mahle has been on the IL since his third start at the big league level this year, where his velocity dropped off pretty significantly on his fastball. He has been dealing with some shoulder fatigue, and it's just basically a matter of there's not enough time to build him back up to get back to the starting rotation before the end of this season. The Rangers also are dealing with Max Scherzer being on the IL with some shoulder fatigue. He has made some progress. He has a new grip, a new adjustment to where he's not going to feel that nerve pain that he's been dealing with all year. He's going to throw, I believe, a bullpen on Saturday, and then we'll see exactly what's happening with that. But for right now, the Rangers rotation looks like this. Nate Eovaldi, Cody Bradford, Andrew Heaney, Jack Leiter. That's it. That's 4. That's 4 starting pitchers in a rotation that almost certainly needs 5. There is some debate on whether Jacob deGrom will start in Frisco or Arlington on Saturday. He is slated for a rehab assignment. What will almost surely be his final rehab start on Saturday. Tonight it is going to be Nathan Eovaldi on the hill. On Thursday, I believe that will be Cody Bradford's trip through the rotation, though there has not been an announced scheduled starter for that series against the Angels that starts on Thursday here in Arlington. And then Friday, the Rangers will be in a little bit of a pickle because there is nobody that will be scheduled for regular rest ready to go on Friday, which makes me think it might be Kumar Rocker time. Now, I've been saying that for a little while, that Kumar Rocker looks good enough to get big leaguers out, good big leaguers out as well. And, the Angels lineup is not exactly full of the best big leaguers. Still decent MLB lineup, still a team that took 2 out of 3 against the Mariners, who still had playoff aspirations before this weekend. Now, not as much, but Rocker getting some big national respect from Baseball America. They updated their top 100 prospects list, and even though Kumar Rocker made MLB Pipeline's top 100, just barely sneaking in there at 98, and still listed as the Rangers' number 2 prospect, which I think is a little low. If I redid my rankings right now, which I'm not going to, I'll wait until I do it twice a year, once at the All-Star break and then once in January when everything is incredibly slow. But if I was re-ranking my top Rangers prospects right now, there would be no doubt that Kumar Rocker would be on top of the list. No slight to Sebastian Walcott. Still very much a believer in him. Still very excited about the season that he's had. But Rocker has just been absolutely special, and according to Baseball America, they saw that, and they ranked him the number 30 prospect overall in Major League Baseball, despite never having been on their top 100 before. He is the Rangers' top prospect according to them. They also had 3 other Rangers prospects in their top 100, including Sebastian Walcott at number 55, Alejandro Rosario jumping in there at 86, and sneaking in towards the back end of the top 100, Emiliano Teodo at 97. That is a huge sign for him. That is a great mark of someone else, some prospect evaluators who have been in this game a long time, who know ball very, very well. Ranking him a top 100 prospect, that is huge and a great feather in his cap. I don't know if we'll see him that much again from now until the end of the season. He has already well surpassed his career high in innings, but Teodo, it's easy to forget about the season he's had, the progress that he's made. I'm still a believer that he's probably a starting pitcher, maybe, but at the very worst, he's going to be one of the nastier relievers in the game, throwing up to 102 with that hellacious slurve/curve/slider, however he wants to manipulate it, and a changeup that's fine. And a fastball, you throw a 102 mile an hour two-seamer, that is going to give some folks some problems. But, 3 Rangers pitching prospects in the top 100 prospects of all of baseball, I don't know that that's ever happened before. And the Rangers have had some huge progressions from so many different guys up and down the system, mostly just guys that have been pitchers, which, again, I talked about earlier this week about how rare that is. But Rocker right now is slated to start on Friday in Las Vegas for the Round Rock Express. His most recent start was on Wednesday of last week, so he's getting a little bit extra rest. Right now it's going to be Dane Dunning that is slotted to start in Round Rock, or I guess for Round Rock tonight, Wednesday, because the Rangers optioned him, which I didn't really talk about on the show because I wasn't really sure what to make of it. I'm still not sure what to make of it. I know Dunning has had a disappointing season. Last year, he was the Rangers pitching MVP. He was the pitcher of the year for the Rangers last year in a staff that included guys like Nate Eovaldi, Max Scherzer, and Jacob deGrom, and he deserved to be, frankly. He was the Rangers' most consistent starter. He was going out there every 5th day and staying healthy and keeping you in those games. And without him, the Rangers would have been in a rough spot last year, but this year optioned a guy who's in his age 30 season, the first time they have ever optioned him. I know he's got an ERA north of 5 this year, but still a little bit confusing to see that happening for Dane at this point in the season. But I don't think the Rangers are going to call him up on Friday. I would really rather them not do 2 bullpen games in a week, because that's what that would be. Maybe they would end up just starting Jose Urena. But I would feel much better about just seeing a Kumar Rocker start at the big league level. I mean, the stuff he's doing is just downright sensational. I mean, both of his fastballs are averaging 98 miles an hour. Granted, the shape of them isn't elite. He doesn't have that elite spin rate to go along with it like Jacob deGrom does. But I went and looked up because I was having this argument with somebody on Twitter about how him just sitting 98 with his fastball as a starting pitcher is an incredible thing. Not only just doing that with the pure velocity, but the location as well. Not to mention the exceptional curveball and the burgeoning changeup, and who even knows what the cutter is right now. But I went and looked to see there can't be that many starting pitchers sitting 98 over the last couple of years, and I've been right, because there haven't been. I went back and looked all the way through 2017, and the number of guys who have averaged 98 miles an hour or better on their fastball as a starting pitcher since 2017, there's 11 players. Most of them have done it just 1 year. The guys who have done it multiple times: Jacob deGrom, 4 times; Sandy Alcantara, 3 times; Dustin May, 3 times; Hunter Green, twice. That's it. Those are the only guys who have done it multiple times, and May has been very unhealthy in that whole span. Actually, most of these guys have been pretty unhealthy in that span. Jacob deGrom has only pitched bits and pieces, and once he does it again this year, he will be at 5 times to everybody else's at most 3. Sandy Alcantara has been out this season because he's had Tommy John surgery. I mean, May has missed so much time. Green has been below 98 this year, but has found a way to be a better starting pitcher. But this is a rare thing of guys being able to do this, and not only that, but being able to locate as well. Green has been a little bit wilder, not as much with the location, but the guys who are doing it this year, I mean, Paul Skeens and Jose Soriano, I believe, are the only ones that are doing it this year. It is not a frequent thing. He is ready for the big leagues. Even if it's just one start and sending him back down, there will have to be a 40-man roster move made, but again, if John Gray's out for the year, you can just put him on the 60-day IL. Same with Mahle. That opens up 2 40-man spots for you to get some guys, some end-of-the-year call-ups. I think that will be probably the way the Rangers end up going about it. But again, why not show Kumar Rocker at least one start? You can do it at home. It can be against a favorable team. And then if you really still want to, send him back down to the minors. He'll probably only have, I think, 3 or 4 more starts this season. We'll see how long he ends up going in any of those, because the Rangers are hoping to get him probably around 50 innings this year. And I believe, if my math is correct, he is at around 38 at this point. 31 2/3 innings. So still about 18 innings, 18 1/3 innings left to play with for him before he gets towards what the Rangers were hoping he would get to this year. Why not make 4 or 5 of those in the big leagues? Make some Angels hitters look incredibly silly against this guy who is legitimately already the best pitching prospect I have ever seen for the Texas Rangers. Maybe the best pitching prospect they've ever had. I mean, who knows? But getting him that start would be nice. Maybe it would just be a one-off thing. Who knows when Scherzer will be back? But I mean, what else have you got to lose? Just give some moments of fun from now to the end of this year. You've had a couple of walk-off home runs. You've had 3 of your last 3 wins have been of the walk-off variety. And I don't think it's going to hurt anything of Kumar Rocker's confidence if he comes up to the big leagues and he gets shelled a little bit. I mean, he's a guy who's pretty darn sure of himself. He knows exactly who he is as a pitcher. And I don't think if he comes up to the big leagues and he faces off against the Angels, I don't think they're going to be the team to shell-shock this kid that has been making every single hitter he's faced this year since he's been healthy and up in Frisco look absolutely horrendous. So we'll see if he ends up making that debut or if he stays in AAA for this start, because it won't be long before we do see Kumar Rocker in a big league uniform, which will be so much freaking fun to watch, especially if he's got Wyatt Langford, the walk-off king, on his same team. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.